And you know, we can do all things through God who strengthens us. But we got to get God involved. It's really important that you get God involved in your relationships. That's vital. So in the book of Joshua, what's happening is Moses has died, and God has appointed Joshua to lead the Israelites to their promised land. Okay? And so this is when Joshua is instructed to tell all the Israelites to go through the river of Jordan, and God will part the waters while they move across. Okay? And so this is so cool. And so Joshua says, okay, so he gets one leader from each of the tribes of Israel, and they're carrying the Ark of the Covenant across the river. God parts the water, and the waters literally go from side to side, and there is a dry path that the Israelites can walk along. Imagine. And so Joshua leads them across, and they all get across, and then love. That's what it reminded me of God actually creating, helping us. Like when we work in alignment with him and we create a path, it allows us to receive what it is that he has for us. And so I want you to think of the promises that he has made us, that we are to be in connection and in relationship with other people. It's a promise, but you have to open it up. You have to have faith that he will open the path and deliver it to you. Because if the Israelites had tried to push the water back themselves, it wouldn't have worked. But see, God said, I will create a path for you, but you have to surrender control and you have to trust me. And Joshua said, okay, we're going to do it. And God said, the moment that the Israelite, the leaders of the tribe, so there were 12 of them that were carrying the covenant, the moment that their feet hits the water of the Jordan, the river Jordan, the waters will part. Now imagine somebody saying, if you just go dip your foot in the water will part. Never mind God. God says that, we can't see God. The Israelites couldn't see God. They had to have full faith that this guy named God, this God guy, was actually going to do what he promised. And so all of these people gather, thousands upon thousands gather. They pick up their tents, they pick up their homes, because they're going to move from where they are over across to the promised land. They are in full faith. And God said, when those 12 leaders' feet hit the river Jordan, the waters will part and they will walk across. And I want the leaders to stand in the middle with the Ark of the Covenant while all of the people pass. Like the leaders are going to be the ones that are going to hold the space. And so they stand there, and all of the people from the tribes of Israel cross. Imagine. They're walking on the bottom of this monstrous river, and it's dry, and the water is being held. How can you not have faith? They got to see that. And then once all of the people passed, they went back and they got 12 rocks, one to represent each of the 12 tribes, and they were told to take those rocks across as a reminder, as a memorial to what God had done. And when they got across to the other side and everything was done, the waters came back in full flow. What God is asking us to do is have faith that he will create for us a path so that whatever it is that he has promised us will come to be. But we have to have courage and we have to have strength. And it's a command. It's not a suggestion. It's not a, hey, if you've got the time. It's a, if you want this, then you must do this. So this is where we are. If you want love, if you want friendship, if you want community, if you want people around you, if you want to be surrounded by God's love, you have to have faith and allow him to bring the people to you. How do you do that? By creating a path that looks nothing like anything that you've ever created before. This is like no bridge that they had ever walked on. This was like nothing that these people had ever experienced in their travels. This was a God thing. This was I'm going to part the waters. It's going to be better than you ever thought. And if you didn't think that I existed before, you will not doubt me now. And let me tell you something. I have been praying for this man, and I could feel him coming. I could feel him. And I prayed about it, and I said, God, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a man who's tall. I'm looking for a man who loves you. I'm looking for a man who is safe, solid, and secure. And I'm going to leave the rest up to you, because I know that if I give it up to you, that you'll bring me exactly who I need. And for the first time in my life, I'm really going to surrender, and I'm really going to pray about it. And I'm really going to call you in to call him in, because I know that if you create the path, not me, you. If I lay it down, I will be the recipient of the person that you delivered to me. And won't he just do it? You guys, literally, weeks in, I got my first message. And on Friday, he drove here for my birthday. 4 weeks, done. It was 4 weeks, 2 in-person visits. And we just knew. Won't he do it? He does it greater, faster, and more abundantly than you could ever imagine. He will blow your mind, but you have to surrender. So how do you have the courage to love again? You surrender. You surrender control. He commands you to not be discouraged. What does that mean? You don't use the language that you've used before. You don't say things like, it'll never happen to me, or it's going to happen to everybody else, but God isn't listening to me, or God doesn't care about me, or I don't deserve it, or I'm not worthy, or no one will ever love me again, or this isn't for me, or the best is done. That's discouraging talk. And the command is, do not be discouraged. So what does that mean? Be encouraging. I'm excited to see who you have for me. I cannot wait for what I have yet to see. I am grateful for what has already happened and is in my favor. I know that you're working on me while you're working on that. And I can't wait to see what you bring, because it's always better. Always better. So yesterday we talked about the fact that fear makes us build walls, whereas God invites us to build bridges, right? Build bridges with him. Surrender, he'll lay the path, and we will be the recipient. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. Okay, today, courage is not, I want to share this with you. Courage is not the absence of the fear. But he's saying, do not fear. So when the fear shows up, what do? We set it down and we replace it with courage. We replace it with strength. We replace it with encouraging language. Because it will sneak in. We're human. But we have to recognize it right away. And we have to say, not on my clock, devil. This is not happening. Because I'm ready and I'm deserving. See, remember that the devil loves a weak woman. The devil loves a woman who is not confident. So you must be confident. You must stand 10 toes down and know for certain that when you give it up to God, the right people come in, because that's what we're doing. Joshua was stepping into unfamiliar territory. He had big shoes to fill. It was Moses who was leading before him. Imagine following Moses's footsteps. Moses was chosen by God. And he did a great job. And he died and God said, "You're my new guy." And Joshua went, "You sure about that? That's some big shoes to fill." He was afraid. And God never said, "Don't worry, nothing will ever happen." What he said was, "I command you," because you're a leader. Who here is the leader? Put a 1 in the comments if you're a leader. Put a 1 in the comments if you're a leader. Because if you're a leader, guess what? You need to be the most courageous one in the pack. If you want to be a leader, you can't be the one that's always talking about how afraid you are. I see this all the time with women. They say, "I'm afraid, I can't." And I think, well, if you're afraid and you can't, then you won't lead. Do you want to lead or do you want to lie down? You have to make a decision. Because if you're going to lead, then we don't talk about that we can't. We talk about that Christ is going to be the one that gives us the fuel. He gives us rocket fuel. No low-grade petrol. That's what you give yourself. That's what happens when you depend on yourself. But when you actually lean into God, things happen. Lean not on your own understanding. He says, "Don't worry. I will be with you." You're not going to be alone. So it's going to be scary. Imagine leading thousands of people across a dry bed and promising them that their children and their family and their loved ones will not drown, that God will hold that water back. Imagine being that strong of a leader that you have to convince people that it's okay to walk across that. You have to be so convicted. How convicted are you? How convicted are you in your ability to love and be loved? How convicted are you? Are you as convicted as Joshua was? Do you really believe that God will bring somebody to you? Or do you just kind of think maybe it will happen? Because if you don't believe, it won't happen. One thing that we know for sure is that he wants us to proclaim that we know him publicly. I believe you. I trust you. I follow you. I went on the dating app, not because the dating app knows better than me, but because there are people that I don't know that are on there. And then I said, "Lead him to me. Because I'm not finding him where I am. Lead him to me." And he did. Our conviction has to be so strong that it's not if, it's when. And it's not going to be comfortable. God doesn't promise comfort, right? He just promises outcomes. But it's why through this entire book, he talks about faith. Faith is the number one way to eternal life. We must have faith. If we don't have faith, we have nothing, saith the Lord, right? You might be nervous to reconcile. Maybe there's a friendship or a relationship that's fractured. And you're nervous to reconcile. Maybe you're nervous to apologize. Maybe you don't like to apologize. It makes you uncomfortable. Maybe you'd rather be right than happy. And that's been your past. That's been your pattern. That's been the way that you have managed conflict. Maybe it's hard for you to tell the truth. I made a mistake. I betrayed. I lied. I haven't been giving enough. I've been absent. I've been withdrawing. I'm confused. I'm scared. I don't feel beautiful. Like maybe, just maybe, you just need to be honest. Maybe you're nervous to establish boundaries because you haven't had them before. And to establish them might mean something will change. Well, but aren't you looking for change? So I always find this fascinating when somebody says, I want change, I'm ready for change. And then as soon as I start talking to them about change, they say, oh, I can't do that. Okay, well then what do you want? Because just remember, your outcome will be equally as amazing as the effort that you put in to getting there. So if little effort, little outcome. It's like going to the gym. If you go to the gym once a month, you're not going to get results. If you go every day, if you go every second day, you're going to get results. So if you're not putting in the time, if you're not putting in the effort, if you're just saying, meh, if it happens, it happens, guess what? It's not going to happen. Why would God give somebody something really amazing? Why would God bring some epic human to you? Listen to me. Why would God bring an epic, incredible man to you? If you're like, meh, if it happens, it happens. Because you won't love him good enough. And that's one of God's children. He's not going to trust you with somebody amazing. He'll trust you with a meh person. Has anybody here ever got a meh person? Put meh in the comments. If you've ever had a meh person, you're like, meh, it's okay. It's okay. How's your relationship? Meh, it's okay. I'm going to promise you that if you've ever said that, the person that you're with feels the same. Is that what you want? Or do you want somebody to say, it's hard, but it's worth it. She's worth it. It's work, but it's worth it. Every moment, even the hard ones, are worth it. Every moment, even the ones that are challenging, even the ones that stretch us, even the ones where I look at her and I think, I could kill you right now, but I love you so much that it's worth it. That's what we all want, no? You make me crazy, but I'd never leave. I don't understand you, but I'm going to trust you. Isn't that what we want? Bozo to Boaz. Bozo, not Boaz. Exactly. I feel afraid, but I refuse to let fear and my emotions make my decisions. That's what real good love. That's what somebody says who wants it, who really wants it. Fear may speak, but it does not get the final vote. So it might have a voice back here, but at the end of the day, I'm going to say, no. That's the voice, that's the meh. That's the one that attracts the maybe. So this time I'm going to go all in and I'm going to say, I deserve a king. I deserve the person who thinks I walk on water. I deserve the person who believes that if I said I could part the waters, that I could. And then they would follow. I want that person in my orbit. How do I get that person in my orbit? I be that person. I be the person that I want. When I was preparing the way for the man, I became the person that that man would want. That's what I did. And I spent a lot of time preparing myself. How do you prepare yourself? I know somebody's thinking, what did you do? Here are some examples. I asked for help. I stopped pretending that I could do everything myself. I started saying, Lord, I'm ready for help. I'm ready for somebody to step in and say, I've got you, sis. What do you need, babe? And I want to be able to say, I need help. And not be mocked or criticized. So I got really good at asking for help. I got really good at communicating. This is what I want. This is what I need. Here are my boundaries. Here is my faith. Here are my doubts. Here are my fears. Here are my downfalls. I got really good at communicating all of that so that there's no surprises, so that the person who comes in loves me for me and not some version of me that I've put up on social media. So I told him, I said, I got a ministry that I'm building and I'm busy, and I've got an independent woman who doesn't want to be supported. That is not the energy. I apologize. I'm sorry I made a mistake. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry if I hurt you. I've gotten really good at apologizing because I want to make sure that in the relationship, I can say to the person who is loving me so well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I disappointed you. I'm sorry if something that I did or said. Make sure that I wasn't bleeding all over somebody who didn't do it. So I've been healing my heart, and I have been spending a lot of time alone. I haven't really been dating. I dated a little bit. None of it was worthwhile. But it was all part of me going, this is what I want. So I'm gonna get really clear about what I want first. Then when I know, and I feel ready, and I feel like I'm all over people. And it's not their fault that your marriage didn't work. It's not their fault that you were betrayed. It's not their fault that your family's not talking to you. It's not their fault. So don't bleed all over them like it is. I wanted to make sure that I continue to be teachable and adapt. Camping is great. I grew up camping, but I prefer a warm Airbnb or a place on the ocean where I can but you know what? Let's go camping. I get to complement his life and fit into his world just as much as he gets to fit into mine. And saying, I need help. I want love. I want to be loved. You guys, when he came to visit, he was opening the door all the time. Everywhere. The car, restaurant, everything. And I looked at just be honest. If you don't like that, say, you know what? I don't really like that. I don't know. There's just something about it. Can I open my own door? But on the flip side, you can say, that really means a lot to me. Like, I know that some people might think it's pointless or small, but for me, it means everything. So thank you. Maybe that's your healing, is I won't accept this anymore. This isn't part of who I am. Let's build some boundaries in our relationships so that we can love and respect one another the way that we want to be loved and respected. Old school love. I know exactly. I'm a little bit old school. I am 57. But so can we start fresh? Can we put down some new boundaries? Can we have some really powerful conversations about what it means to be married or what it means to be in a relationship? Maybe there's a constant dishonor happening, like constant disrespect. We're not supposed to tolerate that. That's not what God wants for us. So we have to have the courage and the strength to, and if it continues, then I'm going to step all the way away. We get to lay these boundaries down. And notice it's not a threat. It's not, I will kick you out. It's, I will exit. I will just untie the knot because I deserve more. He doesn't want us to be manipulated. Manipulative love, control, obsession, possessiveness, jealousy. Abuse, you do not have to tolerate it. Repeated destruction of the relationship, destruction of things in your home, destruction of your confidence, just repeated destructive behavior You're not supposed to stay there in our partners, and then we realize we need to exit. Love and access are not always the same thing. So you can love somebody from afar. Have you ever loved anybody from afar? Put a yes in the comments. I sure have. I love you and you can't be close to me. Aggressively. I'm out of here. We get vocal. We get aggressive with our words. We slam doors. We make it known. We make a big scene. That's cutting the cord. When we can just untie the knot, which is, I love you and I have to go. And then when God becomes the one that we go to, when we take it to the throne, we don't take it to our bestie who's going through a divorce. We don't take it to our girlfriend who hates men. We don't take it to our in-laws who think that the person that we're with is a total slime ball. When we take it to God, we stop demanding that other people, needing people to complete us. We stop making people carry what only God can carry. Stop. They can love him, but they also don't have to like him. What would Jesus do in a situation like that? I can almost guarantee that Jesus would say, this is not for you. Take another path. So don't expect the people around you to approve of everything. If you don't want them to know, don't tell them. If you intervene, he can be part of it. Bring him in. Pray with your partner. Talk to God about your marriage. Ask him to bring the person to you who you are ready for. Listen. He says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. That you've never walked before. God did not begin by giving Joshua a 10-year plan, detailed instructions, or guarantees that he would never struggle. He gave him something greater. His presence. Notice something important. God did not say, Joshua, don't feel fear. He said, be strong and courageous. Why? Because courage is not the absence of fear. He says, courage is moving while fear is still whispering. But courage says, God is with me. See, remember, it says, do not be afraid. What it means when do not be afraid is that when the fear comes in, don't allow it to overtake you. He's not saying fear won't come in. He's saying, do not be afraid. In other words, fear is going to step in. Don't let it overtake you. Courage is moving while fear is still whispering. Fear says, what if I fail? What if I'm not enough for him? What if people reject me? What if he breaks up with me? What if he says he loves me, and then he changes his mind? What if he leaves? What if I'm brokenhearted again? But courage says, God is with me. God is with me. No matter what happens. Maybe they will break your heart. Don't ever go into a relationship assuming that there's a guarantee. There will always be a risk where there was love. Somebody could die. Somebody could have a change of heart. There is no guarantee. Never make anybody promise anything besides that they will do. Like, this is what's so important. Okay, it's like you can have wedding vows, and you can say, I will love you till the end of time. And you do. That doesn't mean that they will. There's always risk. 60% of the people out there who say that don't actually mean it. So you have to go in knowing that no matter what happens, no matter whether this relationship works or not, God's got me. See, I've already decided that no matter what happens in my relationship that I'm in, God's got me. And then that way, I'm not putting all my energy in what if. I'm putting my energy in what I'm going to do about this. This is how I'm going to move forward. Many people believe courage belongs only to warriors, leaders, or people who seem naturally confident. But biblical courage is for everyone. It takes courage to forgive. It takes courage to heal. It takes courage to set boundaries. It takes courage to obey God when others do not understand your path. It takes courage to speak your truth. It takes courage to launch the business. It takes courage to release old relationships. It takes courage to put up an honest bio on your dating profile. It takes courage to say, I love God and I'm looking for a Christian man. That takes courage. It takes courage to also walk away from what is unhealthy. And it takes courage to answer a calling that feels larger than you. And sometimes leaving the relationship or calling in a partner or a relationship that is healthy is part of your calling, because you need somebody there to support you, and they have to be somebody who aligns with your values. It's all connected. It matters. Fear has a way of shrinking people. It convinces us to play small, hide our gifts, silence our voices, and settle for survival instead of stepping into the life God designed for us. Fear says, stay comfy, stay hidden, stay safe. This is all you got. This is all there's ever going to be. But God continually calls people forward. The enemy often attacks courage because courage threatens limitation. A courageous woman begins, listen, a courageous woman begins to pray differently. She begins to speak differently. This is what happens when we move into the woman who is calling in the man that she desires. She begins to lead differently. She begins to walk differently. She stops apologizing for taking up space or for being who she is. She stops living from old wounds and starts living from new identity. Courage does not mean you never shake. It means you shake and still show up. It means you cry and still pray. It means you doubt and still believe. It means you fall and still get back up. Joshua still had battles ahead after Joshua 1 verse 9. He still faced obstacles and uncertainty, but courage was not connected to circumstances. It was connected to God's promise. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Not most places, not sometimes, but wherever. That changes everything. Because your confidence was never supposed to come from your strength alone. It comes from knowing who walks with you. So listen. I'm closing up. Fear asks, what if I fail? Faith asks, what if God shows up? Courage is not having no fear. Courage is giving fear no authority. Your future often sits on the other side of your courage. You do not need all the answers to take the first step. Just go. God does not call the fearless. He strengthens the called. The presence of God creates the courage of God. I'm going to say that one again. The presence of God creates the courage of God. Maybe God is asking you to be courageous today. Not because you feel ready, but because he knows what is waiting on the other side of your obedience. Maybe courage for you looks like saying yes. Maybe courage for you looks like putting up your dating profile. Maybe courage for you looks like saying, I'm going to stop saying never again, and I'm going to start saying, When? Maybe it looks like saying no. Maybe it looks like saying yes. Maybe it looks like healing or speaking or leading or simply taking one small step forward. But you do not need confidence. You need God. You only need enough faith. Remember, faith the size of a mustard seed. Body, all of who you are. You want to step fully into the woman, to the God-led woman, to the healthy woman, to the wise woman, to the strong partner, to the woman who's a great business owner, to the incredible visionary. I'm starting a mastermind in June for women who are spiritual leaders, who want to embody the woman that she needs to be to carry the calling on her life. We're starting in June. You'll see it in my stories. DM me Embody. Message me Embody if you want the details. Guest call. If you want to get into the sisterhood and be surrounded by incredible women of God, go to RomieMarlowe.com. Right now it's 6 months for $150. So you save money if you do the package, because I'm all about saving the money so that you have the $25 or the $30 to go out and get a coffee with your bae, with your beau, whatever you guys call them, your bab. Okay? So go to RomieMarlowe.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, because this is a big one. And then I think finances is Thursday. Okay? Because calling then finances. Okay. I love you guys. Have an incredible evening or incredible day. Love you, love you, love you.